Hi everyone, welcome to our Supplier Showcase. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name's Saskia and I'm the event team manager at Heaton House Farm. This week I'm going to be talking to Jacqueline from Precious Things Event Styling. I have plenty of questions myself to be asking Jacqueline, but if you do have any questions that you think of throughout, then please feel free to pop them in the comments box below. Or if you haven't got any questions and you just want to give us a like or a love, then please feel free to do that so that we know that you are watching. So we're now going to welcome Jacqueline to tell us more about Precious Things. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Very good, thank you. I'm loving the background that you've got going on there. It's very nice.
I feel like I'm selling ties. Do you remember ties?
But it's all a little bit like that. Chair sashes instead.
Yeah, finally organised them so they're all on display and it works really, really well. So I'm really pleased with it.
Lovely. That's very pretty, all those colours. So for those of you who haven't met you before, Jacqueline, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am married to Stephen and I am a mum to Amelia and Henry. And we live in Poynton on a farm. We're neighbours of yours, Saskia, aren't we?
Yeah, not far, yeah.
Just down the road. And I run the business from the farm, which makes my commute to work really, really easy. I started running it from the farm about 10 years ago when my daughter was born, and I realised I couldn't really be in two places at once, so it made sense. But before I got into floristry, I studied law with Japanese language at Leeds University, and then I taught English as a foreign language in Japan for a few years after I graduated from university. And then, gosh, I moved into the chemical distribution industry and the printing industry before I finally came to floristry. And I now run the business. I work with my sister. We run it from the farm, so it's a real family. There's my sister. She's shredding alliums there, which are onions, and they really, really sting your eyes. Thus, the goggles. And that's probably all you need to know about me.
Brilliant. So quite varied start to your career then. So tell us a little bit about what you've been getting up to during lockdown. I'm sure plenty with having the kids as well at home.
Yeah, absolutely. So from a personal point of view, I've just had a really lovely time. You know yourself, in this particular industry, it is non-stop. Once you hit March, April, it's go, go, go. So weekends are out of the window. So it's been so nice to just spend some time with Stephen and the kids at home, just doing normal stuff like eating together, watching films together, going on walks. We've had the challenge of homeschool, which many, many people have had. And it's not always been a joy, but it's been okay. And we've done things like incubating eggs in that and grown hens. We've baked cakes. We've planted a vegetable garden. So we've been up to loads as a family, which has been really, really lovely. And then from a business point of view, early on, I was postponing a lot of weddings, as I'm sure you were, and some of them twice because people have moved from an April date to an August, and then they're now moving on from an August date to another date. So that's been a challenge. I've been doing Zoom meetings with people because obviously you couldn't in the early days do them face to face. So couples who are planning for 2021 and beyond, we've done meetings like this over the computer. We've done some funeral work, which is sad, but then we've done some birthday flowers, anniversary dressings, cheer me up flowers, so bits and pieces like that, which has been really nice. I have redecorated the showroom with my tie rack behind me here.
We love it.
It was long, long overdue. So I now have two clearly defined spaces, which works really well for me. So I've got the showroom now, which is tidy, beautiful, peaceful. It's got props in it, flowers, fabrics, candles, trees, vases, things that I can show people while I'm doing the consultation. I've just got it all to hand. And then the workshop next door is just no frills, practical. It's just a space where the blood, tears and sweat takes place for getting all these weddings out of the door. So that was a project. I have been in our barn, and I know you've been in our barn, Saskia, haven't you, and seen it?
I have.
Oh, that's us up scaffolding at some point. We've been in the barn and reorganised. We've got a massive amount of props and items that we use at weddings. And because I'm a hoarder, I don't really throw anything away at all. So there's 16 years worth of stuff. So it was long overdue, a little bit of a rejig and a bit of a tidy up, which it's just worked really well. My husband and I have been doing a bit of work on the house, and we have a little paddock out of the back, which is attached to our garden. So we've been drawing up plans so that we can plant some plants that I'll be able to dip into for floristry. So we've got to plant some eucalyptuses. I've already planted herbs and sage and all sorts of stuff in the vegetable patch. So we've been making some plans to try and make that an area that will be useful to me from a floristry point of view when I just need to nip out and grab a sprig of this or a branch of that. So that will all hopefully come into fruition next year. Then I've been working behind the scenes with some of our hotel customers because they've been doing a little bit of a refit. They've taken this opportunity to rejig some areas while they've got no guests in the hotel, and I've been helping them with that. And then since we've opened up a little bit, I've been able to do face-to-face consultations, which has been nice to see people in the actual flesh. And we've done a couple of weddings. We've done a couple of bridal flower only weddings. And then we're now starting to see weddings of 30 people now that they've opened that up. So that's nice to start doing that again.
Definitely. It sounds like you've been super, super busy. It doesn't sound very relaxing, I'm not going to lie, but it all sounds very exciting, and especially starting to grow some of your own flowers as well. I think we always like to shop local, so you can't get much more local than in your own back garden.
Absolutely. And then it's an enormous task to try and grow what you need, but it's great to have stuff that you can just, if you need a sprig of something or you want to add a little whistle of that and a feather of that and a leaf of that, it's just great to be able to bob out and do that. So I'm looking forward to that coming to fruition.
Definitely. That sounds really, really nice. So obviously you've spoken to us a little bit about your past careers, but what made you decide to become a florist, and then obviously in addition to that become a venue dresser as well?
Well, when I came back from Japan and I started working, I was working for doing a job that I liked, but I didn't love. So I decided that the next job I would get would not only be a job that I really, really enjoyed, but it would be one that I could be self-employed at. So 100 years ago, when I was at school, I was a Saturday girl in a flower shop, and I just absolutely loved it. So I decided to go back to that, and I went on a night school course and just fell back in love with the flowers. So I quit the job that I liked but didn't love and got a job in a flower shop in Wilmslow, and I did a college course at Reese Heath. I think it was a BTEC in floristry, sort of from a professional career point of view. And then I eventually opened a flower shop in Macclesfield in July of 2004, so that's 16 years ago now. And I just expected to do what you would expect of a normal flower shop. So I expected to do bunches and funeral work and wedding work and all the stuff you'd expect. But what I found was that people came to me primarily for weddings, which was great. So I fell into that just because that was what people were asking of me. And then about 2 years into the shop, one bride just said she wanted chair covers and she just wanted one person to do it. So could I do the chair covers? And I really just thought, why not? Why can't I do chair covers? So we made some and we delivered them for her wedding and set them up. And we became venue dressers really from that point onwards. So even today, we still make all our own chair covers. We make our tablecloths, our sashes, our napkins, our runners, everything like that. So if we haven't got it in stock, we can usually make it to suit a particular couple, particular style, particular wedding.
That's brilliant. It's good to know if people have got something in mind or they want extras of something, then you can whip them up nice and easy. So that's really, really good. So obviously some people, they book a florist and a venue dresser. Obviously you're saying that you can do everything all under one roof, which is fantastic. So what do you find are the advantages of having both a florist and a venue dresser rather than booking separately?
Well, the biggest point, I guess, is simplicity and ease. You've just got one point of contact. So when a couple phones to discuss a change or ask a question, we've just got everything to hand. We know what flowers we're dealing with. We know what dressings we're dealing with. I do all the consultations personally, and I'm usually, not always, but I'm usually the person on the other end of the phone. So straight away when you phone us, you're dealing with somebody who knows your wedding and can talk to you about it straight away. You've not got to explain yourself. So that's a big bonus, I think. The other thing I think is that flowers and venue dressing, they just go hand in hand, because the two elements together create the look of the wedding. So for me, it just makes total sense to have it all under one roof. We've got charger plates in that particular picture there. We've got a gold overlay over a burgundy cloth with the flowers that we've provided, the chair covers. We can just bring it all together when we're doing it all under one roof, and we don't have to worry about what the shade of burgundy is that another person's providing or whatever. Another advantage is that during the consultation process, I can go and grab flowers from next door. In a normal working week, in the summer, we've got weddings going out all the time, so we've got flowers in all the time, flowers going out all the time. So while I'm discussing a tablecloth or a colour scheme or a particular table prop with somebody, I can literally just go next door, grab a handful of foliage and flowers and demonstrate what their table centre might look like on the day. So that's always nice for people who can't visualise exactly what you're talking about.
Definitely, because I think that's one of the biggest fears sometimes for bride and grooms, is that they can't see it beforehand, so they've got to obviously put their trust in you to see what it looks like on the day. So if you can offer a little bit more of a visual before the day, it probably really helps them out there.
Absolutely. And there's something a little bit exciting about not knowing what you're going to get on the day, but at the same time you want to have an idea of what you're going to get on the day.
Yeah, definitely.
Understand it's going to look a particular way, even if you don't see the actual design that you're going to have on the day.
Yeah, so I agree. So if a couple either already has a florist or a venue dresser booked, or they just want one or the other, are they able to use you for just floristry or just venue dressing, or does it always have to be the two together?
No, not at all. I would say that the majority of our couples do use us for both, purely from the reason we've just discussed, really, just from the simplicity of knowing that it's all under one roof. So your flowers and your venue dresses will arrive on the day at the same time because the same people are bringing it. You've got one point of contact, all of that. So most people, I would say, do use us for both the floristry and the venue dressing element. But we can do as much or as little as people need us to do ultimately. So in recent years, we've seen a lot of DIY weddings. So we might do the sort of technically difficult stuff. We might do the bridal flowers and the buttonholes and any sort of large installations or backdrops or anything like that. And then the couple might choose to do their own centerpieces, for instance. We get a lot of couples where, mum might want to do the table centres, or she might want to do the bridal bouquet, but she doesn't want the stress of doing all of the bridal flowers. So again, we can dip in and we can get involved in that. These days, couples get really creative and make their own table centre props. So sometimes somebody will turn up with a box of stuff for us to fill with flowers, or equally, we can just provide the flowers for them if they want to do the flowers themselves, but they don't know where to source them. We can do that. And then we do work with venue dressers who don't do fresh flowers in-house, and we work with florists who don't do venue dressing in-house. So really, we can just do as much or as little as people want us to do.
So you're very flexible, which is always good because everybody has different needs, don't they? So.
Yeah, absolutely. No two couples are the same. No two weddings are the same. So yeah, no two jobs are ever the same.
Definitely. So obviously I'm asking Jacqueline many questions and quizzing her on her business, but if anyone else does have any questions, then please feel free to pop them in the comments box. As I say, we will be doing a live Q&A at the end, so we will answer any of your questions then. So if a couple is watching tonight and they do want to get in touch with you, what do you find is the best way to get in contact with you?
For me, I'm probably a little bit of an old-fashioned girl, really. So email is great for me. So that's preciousthings@btconnect.com, or the telephone, which is 01625 433 555. We divert the landline to a mobile. So when we are out on site, which we usually are during the summer all the time, we can always take a telephone call. Even if we can't speak to you for a long time, we can at least say hi and arrange to phone you back. People do contact us on social media. I sometimes find I get too many things coming at me from many different angles, though. So if I'm a day or two behind on a Facebook, it's because I've not thought to go on and check it. But I always check the emails and then we answer the phone. So they're probably the best ways to get hold of us.
Brilliant. And then obviously if someone has got in touch with you and they like the sound of what you do, then do you offer consultations if they want to kind of go into a little bit more detail about exactly what they want? And if you do, where are they usually done?
Absolutely. Yeah, we would totally expect people to have a consultation. So we would usually invite them here to our showroom, because this is where we've got all the props, all the accessories, all the bits and pieces that I might need to put my hands on and show people. Because it's one thing looking at something in a photograph, but it's very different sometimes seeing it in the flesh. So it's always great to do it here at the showroom. The consultations, in my experience, usually last about an hour. Some go over, but usually that's enough time to get everything sorted that we need to. We encourage people to bring Pinterest boards, images of things they like or they don't like, any colour swatches of bridal fabric or bridesmaids dresses or suit fabric, anything like that. In normal times, when we're not all sort of socially distancing, we encourage anybody to come with you who you want to come. The mums usually love to get involved, but we've had consultations where we've had dads, maids, sisters, groom, best man. It's sometimes everybody wants to get involved, which is absolutely fine. We just make everybody welcome. We usually start with the bridal bouquet and we chat through everything, starting from that. I pull out pictures from the portfolio of bridal bouquets. We look at different shapes, we look at different styles, we look at the Pinterest boards that they've got, and then we come up with a plan, and then I go away and produce an itemised quotation and email it over. And I usually say to people at the consultation point, if you're interested in something, you might as well get a price for it, because we itemise everything. So you can sit down with a cup of tea when you've got it and go through the list and decide what you do want and what you don't want, what does work for you and what doesn't, in the comfort of your own home.
That sounds good. It's always good as well, because you can see where the budget goes as well and see if you can afford everything that you want. Or as you say, if it's itemised, you can pick and choose instead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Works well. All sounds very straightforward as well, which people tend to like. So if they have a consultation and then they're interested in booking with you, what tends to be the booking process from there?
So we would check the date to see if we're available, obviously, but usually if you've been to see us for a consultation, we know that date's available anyway. And then we just take a deposit, and the deposit just secures you in our diary. So we know we've got you, you know you've got us. And then I personally don't need to pin you down to any final decisions until a final meeting, which I usually do about 5 weeks before the day. So at that meeting, we would go through any changes. So if your colour changes, or the number of bridesmaids has gone up or down, or the table centres are being tweaked, we do all of that. We discuss timings, who's having what delivered to what address at what time, anything like that. We thrash out all those details, we make any amendments, and we finalise the whole thing at that meeting.
Yeah, I always find it's better to do all those final details as close to as possible, because people do change their minds on things, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes you can look at stuff too soon, I think. Sometimes, if you're getting married, say 2 years down the line, you can get really caught up, and then fashions might change slightly. So you make tweaks along the way, because the style that you like changes, or the bridesmaid's dress that you choose changes. So it's never just, in my experience, a straightforward path. There's often a little sort of meander here and there as people find their way to their ideal dressing.
Definitely. So what kind of style would you say that your floristry is, or your venue dressing? Would you say that you've got a style?
No, I wouldn't say that we've got a style. I personally have stuff that I love, and I have stuff that I love less than that. But I decided very, very early on in business that I would always remember that these are not my weddings. So it absolutely doesn't matter what my particular personal style is. My aim is to just deliver what the customer is looking for. So I'll always give my advice. I'll always give my opinion if it's asked for. I will always explain why I think something will or won't work. But ultimately, I'm absolutely always prepared to be overruled because it's not my wedding. And so I want to give the couple what they want to see. So if one couple wants sparkles, more sparkles, massive floral arrangements, fairy lights, flounces, feathers, and everything that goes with it, then that's absolutely what we would deliver for them. And then if another couple just wants simplicity, pared down, relaxed, low key, then that's what we would deliver for them. And so I try to stand back at every wedding and look in it and think, regardless of my own personal preferences in terms of colour or style, if this was my style, would I be pleased with this room? And if I can say yes, then we walk away knowing that we've delivered what they wanted. And that's, I think that's really important. And another thing, the reason why we work like that is that no two weddings are ever the same. No two people are ever the same. No two couples are ever the same. And so you've got to have that flexibility. You've got to have, I think, an ability to find out what the couple wants and give that to them.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think it's nice to see kind of unique touches put on each wedding and, know that each one is individual to the couple. So like you say, it's nice that you're so adaptable to different styles as well. I'm sure that works very well for you. So from a personal point of view, obviously your style, you're saying you kind of listen to the couple, but from a personal point of view, what's your favourite part of the venue to dress?
I think this is a really tough question because genuinely, I just love it all. And I think my favourites change from week to week. And I'll do something for one wedding and go, gosh, that's the most favourite thing I've ever made. But then next week, there'll be something else that will then become my favourite thing I've ever made. So it's a difficult one to answer. But I love making bridal bouquets. I absolutely love that. I think there's something really wonderful about providing something that's going to be in pictures on somebody's mantelpiece forever, or that might be preserved and handed down to children and grandchildren and appreciated and loved for generations. I also love that you get to know people in the process of helping them plan their wedding. You'll know this from dealing with brides, obviously, from your end. And there's something really lovely about making something that you just know, I just know they're going to absolutely love that. I really enjoy that. Another area that I like to dress is I love a good beam. I think they're always fabulous to dress. So anything that we can wrap fabric round, or fairy lights, or foliage, or flowers, or all of the above, or jam jars like we have in that particular photograph there. We put underwater fairy lights in those jam jars. So as the night got darker, the jam jars got lighter and created a really nice atmosphere over the dance floor, which was great. But you can suspend things from beams, and it's just great to walk into a room because you've got that impact that's high up, sort of on eye level, and it's just a really lovely thing to dress. And then I think another thing that I really love to dress is the top table, because it's such a special table and it's such a focal point of the day because all your main players are sat up there. It's great to reuse stuff. So flowers can go on registrar tables first. Bridesmaids bouquets can go into vases on the top table for additional dressings. You can put fabric on it. You can dress it with runners, with swags. You can suspend flowers above them. You can put lanterns on the floor in front of them. I mean, there's so many things you can do with the top table. So I really enjoy that. And I love as well that on tables like that, there's often really nice personal details. So I love to see a little note at mum's place setting to say thanks, or a bottle of dad's favourite tipple at his place setting. They're just a really lovely table to dress. That's a good example of flowers suspended above, flowers on the top table, and then lanterns and bits of flowers on the floor in front of the table to really give it a dramatic look.
I love that one. And I attended that wedding as well, which is quite rare to attend a wedding at Heaton House. Obviously I work here, so it was nice to be on the other side and be a guest at that one.
And it was a gorgeous one to dress.
It was beautiful, very beautiful. Brilliant. So again, I'll just remind everyone, if you have got any questions to ask, then please feel free to pop them in the comments box. I do have some more questions for you though, Jacqueline. So what do you feel is kind of currently on trend? So is there anything that's very popular at the moment that you'd like to share?
Well, there's certain colour schemes which have been popular probably for a year already, but they remain popular, and there's good reason for that because they're just absolutely lovely. So we're still seeing a lot of navy blues mixed with golds and whites, and either with or without a blush pink. That's always nice. Grey, we've got grey and a dusky pink there. Greys are really popular at the moment, and they're really versatile. They go great with blues, with pinks, with purples, with yellows, with whites. I don't think there's anything that you can't mix with a grey, really. Candles are always enormously popular. There's floating candles in that particular image and tea lights. But I think, gosh, I can't even think of a wedding that we've done that hasn't had candles, because I think the majority of people love that lovely relaxed atmosphere they create. So they're always a winner. And then we've seen a massive increase in popularity of just foliage. So we've got some weddings coming up next year where there are no flowers at all in the centerpieces or in the bridal flowers even. It's just a really lovely mix of all the different foliages, all the different shapes, all the different shades. So your ruscus, your ferns, your eucalyptus, your senecio mixed with some herbs, all the different sizes of the leaves and the textures and the shine and the colour. They just make for really great, organic looking, relaxed designs, which has become really, really popular. So I think relaxed styling is really popular as well. Not just sort of in the flowers and things like that, but we're seeing people not having formal top tables. They might sit on a round top table, but sit cabaret style, or sit on an oval table. I know you do an oval table there, don't you?
We do.
On a sweetheart table for two, and they might have a relaxed seating plan or do away with speeches, but it's definitely, people are picking the traditions that they want to have, and they're not worrying about the ones that don't fit with their particular family, their particular friendship groups, their particular style, their particular day.
I think it's always nice to see kind of like a rustic kind of greenery. I love that look. It always looks very pretty, especially here at Heaton House Farm. I always think it works really well.
It does. Well, you're a farm, aren't you? So it's absolutely ideal. It's perfect.
Yeah. So speaking of seating plans, you mentioned seating plans before. Do you ever provide seating plans or table numbers, name cards, any stationery like that?
We do. We can, and we have done in the past. We tend not to get into the sort of invitation element of it because it's a little bit beyond our area of expertise. But we've provided table plans, place settings, table names, anything like that. We have done for couples before. But what we do find is a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people really enjoy doing that element of the day themselves, because it's something that you can do leisurely at home. The table plan's always going to be last minute because you don't know exactly who's coming until you might get the sort of drop out or an addition closer to the day. But as soon as you know who's RSVP'd, you can do all your name cards and you can decide what your tables are going to be called. And I think people enjoy getting their friends around, bottle of Prosecco, get your craft stuff out and just have a really nice time. And then on the day you can go, we made that and it looks really great. So yes, we can, but we don't often.
That's right. It's always nice to have a little DIY element in the day because, like you say, it's definitely something to be proud of and something that makes it more personal to the couple. But it's good to know that you can do it if we've got anybody who isn't quite so creative and would like a bit of help with that. So if somebody has an item like a backdrop or centerpiece that they want to reuse elsewhere, do you usually offer a service where you would stay and move things to a different area in the venue?
Yes, absolutely. If it's a case of just moving a couple of vases and a top table arrangement, then we normally work with people like yourselves. People are professional who do it all the time. We totally trust that things will get moved to the place we've asked them to be moved to. So if it's just something simple like that, then we wouldn't get involved. But yes, if it's a backdrop or a moon arch or it's something that needs to be slightly dismantled or it's slightly technical, then yes, we would absolutely stay and make sure that it gets moved from wherever it was in the ceremony to wherever it needs to be for the wedding breakfast. And I think that's a really great thing about Heaton House Farm, because you're in the same venue, you can repurpose all your stuff. So anything that you're going to have from your wedding breakfast, you can pretty much use it all for the wedding ceremony first, and then just move it all back.
Definitely. I think as well, because you're only in the ceremony for about 20 minutes, half an hour, it's always nice if you have got a lot of decor in the ceremony that it is used again, rather than, you know, that being that after the ceremony finishes. So
Absolutely.
works well. Reuse wherever you can. I always
Absolutely.
encourage couples to do that.
That's a great example, actually, of some table centres that were used to line the aisle, and then they were taken into the wedding breakfast room and put on the tables, the guest tables, those lovely wisteria trees.
Yeah, that works really well. So if a couple comes to you and they have absolutely no idea what they want, or how they want to, can you kind of give them any tips, or can you point them in the right direction? How would you tackle it if somebody had no idea what they wanted?
Well, I think usually people have got some idea, even if they don't know they've got some idea. So usually by the time they come to see me, they've perhaps chosen their outfits. So already you've got a colour scheme and perhaps a style. The wedding dress might be a really good starting point. It might be lacy and vintage, which might take you down one path, or it might be sleek and modern, which might take you down another path. So I think already people will have made choices, like the invitations, for instance. They might have a detail on that you pick up and that you bring through later in the day. So all things like that we would discuss and bring into the styling that we would do. We would chat about the cake, about the invitations, anything like that that can have any influence on what we might do for the day. We would also encourage people to bring their Pinterest boards. I mean, everybody does on their phones, don't they? Back in the day, people used to bring great big boards where they sat for hours cutting out magazines and sticking it on. But these days, you just bring your Pinterest board on the phone, don't you? And that's always really, really helpful. And so even if a couple thinks that they've just picked really random pictures, I will probably see a common theme amongst them. So I might notice that all the pictures of bouquets have got no foliage, for instance, or they've all got loads of foliage. Or there might be pictures of table centres and everyone's got some gold detailing or a pearl element, or there'll absolutely be some threads throughout the things that they like that they don't realise they like. And I suppose it just takes somebody else to point them out, really. So we would look at things like Pinterest. I always pull up images from our portfolio to try and help us sort of gauge what people do like. And I'm always happy for people to look at stuff we've done, look at previous things, and tell me that they don't like it, because I think this is important to know what people don't like as much as they do like. It just helps you steer the course a little bit better. So I am quite thick-skinned, and I think that's really important. And ultimately, it's a bit of an organic process. We start at the top, we start with bridal dresses, we talk about other stuff, and we meander our way through to a path and come up with some ideas. And quite often we might give somebody, say, 3 or 4 options on things because they're just not sure. So we might suggest 4 different styles of table centre, for instance, all of which will suit the theme of the day that they're looking for, but might perhaps have different price points. Because ultimately these things, it's not always about what you want to see, it's about what you want to spend as well. So that's how we would tackle people who have got no idea.
Well, it sounds like you'll definitely be able to sort them out if they're not sure. So they should come and have a chat to you, and I'm sure you can point them in the right direction there. So kind of moving away from weddings then, are there any other services that you offer? So things like dressing for parties at homes, you know, balloon arches, light up letters, anything like that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to dressing venues, we're really not fussy about where we dress and for how many. We've done baby showers for sort of 10 people, and we've done Manchester Cathedral for 200, so it doesn't really matter to us. I try really hard to stick to what we do and do it well. So I always focus on the flowers and the venue dressing. But the venue dressing does mean that we dip slightly into things like uplighting. So we can do some nice basic uplighting. If you want projections on the ceiling though, and logos and all that sort of stuff, we would point you in the direction of the people who are experts at that. Things like love letters, we do have a set of love letters, but we don't do Mr. and Mrs., all that sort of stuff. So again, I would point you in the direction of people who excel at that, many of whom are suppliers on your list with us. Balloon arch, we can do balloon arches, things like that, but then we don't particularly get involved in helium balloons because it's not our area of expertise. So we cross over a little bit here and there. We don't do things like dance floors, and we don't have a photo booth, but we tend to, like I say, we will always point you in the direction of the people who do that well, and we just try and do what we do to the best of our ability.
I was going to say, sometimes it's best to stick to what you know, and then you can do that to a high quality.
Yeah, and then
so there of some wreath making.
Yeah, that's something I just love to do. So once we get to the end of November, beginning of December, our diary gets absolutely jam-packed full of wreath making classes. So I'm hoping they can go ahead this year if social distancing will allow. And I've been doing that for as long as I've had the shop, really. So certainly 15 years. And I think these girls here in this picture, we have this conversation every Christmas. How many years have they been coming to me? And I think they've clocked up about 14 years. And it's lovely. It's the first thing they do every Christmas. Their friends, neighbours, family, they come, they make their wreath, they have a glass of wine, they go home merry, and that's when their Christmas starts for them, which is just great. And then we also dress hotels for Christmas, and we dress some private houses for Christmas. So we'll go in, we'll put all the decks up, and then come January, we'll go in and grab them all out.
Sounds fantastic. We're hoping that we can have a normal Christmas this year. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. So this is a great example of things we've done for your Christmas parties in the past. So you always like to theme it, don't you? Which is great, because it means you can really sort of, as a creative person, you can get your imagination running wild. So that was the Nutcracker, I think, where we created a ballerina for you for one table dressing.
It was, yeah, it looked fabulous.
And for us working at the farm and coming from a printing background, it's great because we know how to make all of these things. We know how to cut wood, and we know about form cutting and printing and CMYK and all that sort of stuff. This is a Empire State Building that we did for one of your Christmas parties as well, which, I mean, you possibly wouldn't have that on a wedding table, I'm absolutely sure, but we lit it from the inside as well, which was just really lovely. So it's great to do things like that, actually.
Something a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You never know, it could be a couple that's got engaged in New York and they want a New York theme.
Absolutely. And you could have something like that on your guest book table. You don't have to have it on your tables, do you? But you could have it somewhere. All these little things, you can have a nod to things like where you got engaged, absolutely, throughout the day.
Definitely. So I've asked you all my questions, Jacqueline. So we're just going to have a quick check now and see if we've got any questions from any of the viewers. I think Olivia, who's on tech today, said we've got one. So this is from Hannah. So she said, I'm so excited to get married at Heaton House in September 2023. As a venue dresser, can you organise every aspect of the dressing?
Yes, is the short answer to that. Absolutely. We provide tablecloths, chair covers, chair dressings, napkins, flowers, table mirrors, candles, props. So yeah, absolutely. As I said earlier, we've got a barn that is absolutely rammed to the rafters, full of all sorts of venue dressing props and items and overlays and runners. And so yes, absolutely, we can do every element.
Brilliant. So she'll have to get in touch with you and maybe come down to see everything that you've got. I know I've been there, and it's amazing, all the bits and bobs that you've got in the barn. So I think that's everything. So we've had our questions. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this evening. Next week we are going to be going live again. So that's Monday the 24th of August, and we're going to be joined by another one of our recommended photographers, and that's the wonderful Lee Brown. So join us at the same time, that's 7 p.m. next Monday. We look forward to seeing you then. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having us.